So let's talk about debugging. We're going to spend the rest of the lecture talking about debugging, actually. And it's one of the main reasons that we use an integrated development environment. Because you can write Python in just Notepad or Notepad++, as I've shown you in a few examples. You can write it on the web. There's various sub-websites where you can actually create and write, run Python programs. But really, if you're going to be a serious programmer, you need to know how to debug them, because let's face it, we all make mistakes. And you can do debugging also in a variety of IDEs. So you can do them in idle, but the debugger there is a bit basic, or you can do it in Spider, which is a Python environment that comes with Anaconda, or you can do it in Visual Studio. There's others. So we're going to look today at one called PyCharm. You can download and install it for free on your own computer. So go to JetBrains. JetBrains is a company that provide a number of these tools. They do IntelliJ, which I use for Java, and they do stuff for databases, various .NET plugins. They've even invented their own language called Kotlin. Okay, and there's different versions available for Windows, Mac, Linux, as you'd expect. So you can get hold of it there. If you download from JetBrains/PyCharm, make sure you get the community edition, which is free, and not the professional, unless you're going to pay for it. And I'd suggest, it's up to you, but I suggest you stick to the standard installation. So don't associate .py files with PyCharm. I just find it easier to put my Python files in a project, and then I can either open them up in idle or I can run them in PyCharm. They don't automatically open up in PyCharm because sometimes I like to use idle, but that's up to you. You can change it later if you want. Okay, so just leave that box unchecked is my recommendation, and don't import settings. I think this is the standard default when you download and install it. Unless you're already using it, in which case, why not? And you should get a startup screen, something like this. I've got one here. Looks something like that. I've already opened a project, so there's a list there. You can configure it if you want. You can change and you can do this inside inside it once it's opened up properly as well. You can change it to a dark theme if you prefer that. If you prefer grey text on. Or light grey text on dark grey, or if you prefer high contrast option, you can do that as well. So that can be easier to read. I think I'm just going to stick to the IntelliJ light, which I think is the default one. So it's a light color with black text. Okay. Once you've done that, it makes sense at this point to think about how you're going to store your code. And this is true for not just for Python, for any other programming languages. It makes sense to keep it reasonably well organized, all in the same place. So you want, all your examples, all the solutions you've created, or your own work that you've done, just makes it easier to find stuff. So if you've downloaded the examples so far and unzipped them, you should have them in a folder, something like this. Okay, you can see I've just unzipped them all. Each week there's a different folder, and rather than opening each one individually in PyCharm, we can go to the program. So I've put them in a folder called Programming Foundations. Let me show you that. Here it is on my desktop. It's the only thing on my desktop. Put them in there, and actually I've got a load of other ones. I've got some other ones there, so I've got more than you would have at this point. Put them in a folder together. Then you can open that folder as a PyCharm project, and that means that all your code will be in one place without you having to do anything else. Okay, I'm going to pause the video there and record another one in a second.